man, Mr. McMahon, Vincent Kennedy, man, the Netflix documentary called Mr. McMahon just dropped. 6-part docuseries. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I was a major WWF, and I'm gonna say WWF, nigga, WWF fan growing up. And by the way, I love how on the subtitles it would say WWE when somebody was saying WWF. Like that was funny to me. But I was a massive fan from like 97 to about 2004. 2004 came, and I succumbed to the nigga, you lame, you watch a wrestling thing, and also because Stone Cold and The Rock left, so that was also a reason I left. But I thought the documentary was amazing, and when it originally got announced with the trailer, I didn't know if it would be not telling the truth because Vince was on it. But then when I saw that Vince was trying to get it not to air, I was like, oh yeah, we getting some good stuff coming. And what I loved about it, it was a great balance because I feel sometimes when it comes to people who've gotten in trouble with the law because of dastardly things they've done, I feel like sometimes we ignore the things they did in their field. And I kind of feel like that's unfair. I think you can have a conversation, say, oh, Diddy's a sicko and Diddy should be under the jail without giving him respect for his contributions to just the hip hop genre. I think that's unfair. And I think they did a good job of giving Vince his love of what he did to make wrestling what it is today. But I also feel like I let you know, don't get it messed up. He's a sicko and he needs to be in jail. And I love how they put, this is filmed before this time. This film this time. They had everybody on there. And I think that there wasn't a lot of stories that I didn't know about because being such a wrestling head, I knew about a lot of the in the ring stuff. I knew about the steroid scandal. I knew about, Hulk Hogan looking him in the eye and testifying, but not telling the fans what they wanted. I knew about all that. But, the sexual assault and things like that, the ring boys, I didn't know that. But I felt like it was a really healthy balance. And it also kind of showed that Vince McMahon, in his head, thinks he's not this guy that he really is. The two things that stood out to me it's a couple things that stood out to me. One, when they asked everybody what his legacy would be, and nobody really had an answer. His own children. I thought it was funny when Undertaker was like, yo, I'll take a bullet for that man. And then 2 minutes later, what's his legacy gonna be? He's like, oh, I don't know, dog. Like, that was real telling to me. His own children. Yeah, that was real telling to me, not having a legacy. And I had a couple problems with The Rock. The Rock's my favorite wrestler ever, but The Rock, when he went up there and said, this is not he doesn't see color, and to be a champion of color, Rock, just say you black, bro. That's probably my biggest beef with The Rock. Like, I'm not saying, like, when you're mixed, obviously you got to show love to both sides, but I feel like he showed way more love to the Samoan side than he does the black side, and that kind of annoys me. And to not even say black champion kind of annoyed me a little bit, but that was something. And also when they asked everybody what's the difference between Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon, and Vince is like, oh, there's no comparison. Everybody's like, oh, it's kind of that nigga. That was some stuff that stood out to me, but I enjoyed it. I think anybody, even if you're not a wrestling fan or have any history watching wrestling, you should check it out. I thought that Netflix hasn't been doing too good with their docs lately, but this one blew it out the park. Bang, I'm really interested in your opinion on this. Obviously, you're a bigger wrestling fan than both of us. You had the first black champ. What did you think from seeing this documentary?
So we're definitely going to dive into this a bit more on this Sunday. So check it out here. But Vince McMahon is a complicated person and a complicated character, complicated personality, right? Vince McMahon is probably the greatest promoter in the history of the world. Like he's past any boxing promoter, he's past Don King and all those folks, but he's also past P.T. Barnum. Vince McMahon took a platform like wrestling, which is just carny, and made it into $1 billion industry. Every person that's in wrestling right now owe Vince McMahon a thank you. The problem with that is that unless you're Jesus Christ, when everybody owes you a thank you, it's probably gonna corrupt a nigga. And I think that's what really happened. Like I don't believe there's a billionaire in the world that's clean. I just don't. You have money and you have access, and because of that money and access, something ain't gonna go right. So when I looked at this documentary, it was a lot of stuff that I knew. I did not know about the Ring Boy scandal. Shouts out to Jonathan Hood for putting me on game with that. But Vince McMahon rather did what was best for business instead of what was best for his family in a lot of cases. The relationship with him and Shane I thought was interesting because it was similar to the relationship with him and his father. Issues with Vince McMahon and his mom was wild, and some of the crazy things between Vince and his daughter. But everybody else just talked about how, as far as like Vince outside of the building, was a great guy. So it's very complicated. But when you start to learn about some of the things that Vince McMahon was accused of by the young lady Janelle Grant, you can't look past it. You can't look past it at all. And when you start to put two and two together with some of the things that happened in the 80s, lady that sued him for rape, something like that, and you find out that he gave her a multi-million dollar settlement. The whole thing about Jimmy Superfly Snooker and stuff, you can watch the Dark Side of the Ring for that bit of more information. Like it's just very complicated. I'm very thankful to watch what I've grown to love. I grew up as more of a NWA WCW fan, but I'm not gonna act like Macho Man wasn't a member of the WWE fan. Like Macho Man's my favorite wrestler, and I'm not gonna act like I wasn't up at early to make sure that I watched Superstars on Fox at 11. But it's just nasty. It's just real complicated. And when you look at a lot of the CEOs and the billionaires that's been getting in trouble, they've all given us enjoyment, pause. Like Diddy has given us so much music from the 90s on, and look what's going on with him. And Vince McMahon, same thing. Just wrestling is is a love of mine. And it just shows you how even nasty the wrestling business was at a point in time. So it's wild, but a great documentary.
So definitely get into it on First Black Champ. They'll do a more in-depth review on that. Before we go to Dante, you know what's funny? Unless you've been to Hollywood Boulevard, you don't know this. Vince McMahon and Diddy stars are right next to each other.
Get the fuck out of here.
A lot of people don't know that. Vince McMahon's star is right next to Diddy's star. And I know that because my first trip to LA, before I even moved there, I was it's Diddy's star. And Vince is right next to him. Right in front of the Chinese theater, I think it is. Like, yeah. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
Right next to each other. But Don, bring us on with this one, Dante.
Yeah, no, it was a great documentary, and I think kind of the Banks point about, a clean billionaire. I think with Vince McMahon, his fatal flaw was, outside of being a rapist, was the fact that he put business above all. Like, it didn't matter how uncomfortable. Once he realized, especially getting into the terminology of wrestling, and knowing what a heel is, knowing what a baby face is, knowing, how heat is not necessarily a bad thing, Vince was able to lean into that and always move the needle. He's always been someone who can get just provoke responses from people, and that's something that he was great at. And as he gained more and more power, he abused that power. And I think a lot of it was really telling and kind of creepy how he would say shit throughout, where it's like, sometimes you gotta cheat to win, but you just gotta win. Like, I win, so I don't care. Like, he was just so nonchalant with the fact that, yes, I abuse my power. Yes, I do all of these things. And I don't care how you feel about it, because it's gotten me this great success. And you have a lot of older white men in America who feel that way. And so, seeing that on display throughout the documentary was crazy. I'm more like Scott than JR, in the sense that I was a big wrestling fan as a shorty. And then recently, because my homies still watch it, I picked it back up a little bit. But I've been really more so watching the documentaries and the Dark Side of the Rings. And when you compile all that information and realize how much bullshit has gone on under Vince McMahon's watch, but he's let it slide for the name of business, and nothing, kind of like how we say with the NFL, nothing's bigger than the shield. Yeah. Vince McMahon there's never been anything bigger than the business of wrestling. Like, that is his life. That is his everything, to the point where the storylines were insane with his family. Like, Orlando, you mentioned they didn't mention Macho Man. I really think that gave me even more belief to the rumors about the Stephanie McMahon shit, and that's why they didn't mention it. They didn't mention Macho Man at all. So to, like you said, to mention Chris Benoit, but you couldn't mention Macho Man, to show Owen Hart's blood still in the ring while you made them keep wrestling after he fell out of the rafters. Like Vince was, and even his explanation of that was so fucking cold-blooded. He was like, he said, well, the lights were off. They didn't really see it. Yeah. It's like, what? Like the man's blood is in the ring. His friends like walking into the ring, like shocked watching this. And you like, nah, bro, the show got to go on. Like roll them past the wrestlers. Like, go, keep going. Let's rock. Let's rock. So, I mean, he was a cutthroat businessman. And, you know, unfortunately, that's something that's been praised in the capitalist society. And he's always been seen as, you know, the alpha male, even though he was sitting there loading himself up with steroids and all type of other shit. So, I mean, his legacy, like you said, he falls into that same category of all the disgraced superstars we've seen from our past. You know, the Cosbys, the what's the other white buddy who in jail? Weinstein, you know, all of these people, Russell Simmons, all these people, like he falls into that category. You know, like not to be corny, but like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. And most of these dudes have abused that power. They haven't done the right thing. So it's fucked up, but you know, that is who he is.
I'll say from a succession comparison, one thing I peeped out to me, Shane McMahon is definitely Kendall Roy, and Shiv is Stephanie, and Tom is Triple H.
100%. 100%. Like when you could hear the pain in his voice that he did not get the WWE, and I felt bad for Shane, bro. I really did, because I fuck with Shane McMahon.
Tony Atlas like Shane nice. You can't run a company when you nice.
Yep, and they was like, Shane nice, Stephanie is not nice. Like, and you could peep that with Stephanie, the way she talks and when she's doing interviews and how she'll flip that switch real quick like when they're talking about the business side, just like her daddy. She's like, no, there's nothing bigger than the business. Like when they asked her about those storylines involving her, she said, I know, but I'm not gonna tell you.
Triple H also had that look like, nigga, y'all have no idea what family I'm married into. Like, like Triple H like, nigga, there's so much I can say.
He married into the mob, bro. Triple H know where the body's at. He not gonna say shit. Him, Shawn Michaels. That's why all them dudes was like, I'll take a bullet for him. Like, I love him. John Cena, all them niggas, bro.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade. Yeah, we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not